video until we call you up. Hi, everyone. What's up, everybody?
Sup, everybody? Sup, Rebecca? Sup, Carrie? How we all doing?
Doing good, man. We had like 4 out of 6 of our people coming in on 2 wheels. But this is a busy crew.
Yeah, no kidding.
How you doing, Carrie? You just came from another webinar with Teepa. Oh, she's so used to not being on the screen that she can't find the mute button.
No, once you go live on YouTube, YouTube starts playing in the background and you have to find the mute button.
Tricky stuff.
Yeah.
So you and Teepa just finished up a webinar and then came over here to party with us on SUP or to have some fun with us on SUP.
Yeah, that's right.
Nice. Nice. And speaking of party fare, party attire, maybe I'm going to make a really bad stretch here. But Matthew, you have on new attire. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so this lovely salmon ensemble with our beautiful peacock feather with the brain in the middle where the eye of the peacock is, was given to me as a gift from one of our fellow mentors because she made a comment, she never sees me in pink, and I told her, hey, I'd totally wear it if I had it, and she gave me that challenge accepted. So here it is making its debut in all its glory.
I love it. I love the logo, and yeah, that pink really looks good on you too. Nice.
Yeah, Dawn Wiggins from Canada, one of our Canadian mentors up north. Of course, she's in Florida. She's a snowbird, so she's enjoying that beautiful weather in Florida. But yeah, she's the one that got it to me. So
anybody that knows Dawn knows that she loves pink. Like when we pick colors for anything, she's pink. She always has on bright pink. So I'm surprised it's such a tamed down version of pink, but it does look good on you. So super nice shirt. How about that?
Yes, thank you.
And man, it is February. Can you believe that?
Yeah, this kind of goes with February too. For those of you who get on to that Valentine's Day, I've got a red one too that I'll have to wear when we're closer to Valentine's Day. Yes. I think we might have to have, the whole Valentine's theme going there for close to Valentine's Day.
Definitely. And right around Valentine's Day, we're going to have Christine on to talk about relationships and the relationship guide. So that'll be a nice fit. So yeah, welcome to February. It's all heart here. Yay. And speaking of heart and engagement and bringing people together, Teepa, come on up. We are excited to have Teepa on with us tonight. And she's going to talk about some changes with Impact because we've had a couple of engagement leaders on our previous episodes of SUP, and maybe you've gone on the calendar this year and you've seen, wait a minute, we're not having an engagement leader. Well, what? But you found something else on the calendar. So Teepa, tell us about this new masterclass.
Yeah, so we did an engagement course late in the year last year, and we did it virtually. It was good. I think it worked, but it was an incredible amount of work for folks, and it doesn't give you the real sense of being in the presence of people. And engagement is about being in the presence with people. So what we opted for is how could we do something with engagement that's virtual? Because we're also doing a lot of virtual engagement at PAC, including on Mondays, our Brain Connection Cafe or Bingo with Creativity Cafe, where we're doing some reach out and those are free sessions we offer for folks because we want to engage people. I'm doing every morning for 10 minutes or so first thing. But this is different. So we were thinking, what could we do that might have value for folks that would build some abilities, some skill? And so we started putting together some puzzle pieces and thought, okay, when we do engagement, we really want to get together and do engagement for real when we do a certification course. But what could we do that would build skills before then? And we thought, okay, we've got me, I'm available. we've had these Monday afternoon things that have been pretty successful. And what's cool about them is any brain state can attend, and we have 3 goals in those sessions. And those 3 goals are, we want people to have social engagement opportunities and interactions. We want people to use their social engagement skills, their conversational skills, their language skills, but in a supportive way. And so we use our PPA, our PPC, and our PASs. Those are all, you guys know those acronyms. We're using those to help people engage with one another in those rooms. And we do breakout rooms. And then one of our second goals is that we're going to have fun, that you're at least going to smile at least one time, maybe a chuckle, maybe a laugh, that during that hour, you will laugh at least one time at one of us, if not for yourself. We'll get you to sort of look at things in an interesting way. And then third is that we're going to do some brain exercise. We actually want to flex your muscles. We want you to try synapses you may not be using very often. We want you to try out some new synapses. We want you to see things a different way, try it out. So that's our goal in every session. And so what we're going to do, what we are doing is we're going to have a master class in June. And then we're going to have probably one again. We actually have 3 master classes. One for working with someone who's in an emerald state, one for working with somebody who's in an amber state, and one for working for someone who's in a ruby state. And during that masterclass, we're going to spend the 4 hours digging into how do you assess, how do you create, how do you engage people who are in those different brain states in 4 different categories of activity. How do I go about doing that? How does Teepa Snow figure this stuff out? How does she use her PAC skills, her abilities, her interaction skills? How does she use props and materials to sort of assess situations? And then, so Rebecca, now there are a couple options here. Now I've figured out that Matthew's game for any color, including pink. So we've got some hot pink in here, but I also have some other color choices. I have just plain ones like this. And then I have, this one is a little more varied, but it's sort of neutral. Okay, and then I have these small ones, these little guys. Let me show you these little guys here.
Ooh.
Yeah, these have a little texture to them, and they have some variation in them, huh?
Ooh, I like those.
You like those?
Yeah.
So, okay, everybody, how did I just assess Rebecca's interest in something?
You definitely use some visual regard there by showing her different beads, different colors, different sizes.
Yeah, and I said, she doesn't even know what we're going to do. But what I'm really figuring out is what happens when I show her this stuff. If none of this catches her eyes, and she also did something. She went, ooh, she didn't go, what are we going to do with that? Why are you asking me that? So what she showed me is, oh, okay. And now I might show her these. Ooh, and then I might show her so what we're going to do in that masterclass is I'm going to go through, how do I do this stuff? How do I decide what is enough? How do I decide what's a good match? How do I assess? How do I create? And then how do I have things happen? And so we're looking forward to that. Now, let me just say Brain Connection Cafe, because I said that before. We aren't just doing those 4 hours. When you come for those 4 hours, what you will also get are lesson plans on how to run 3 of the Brain Connection Cafes that I've done. And so you'll not only get the details, the PowerPoint, but you'll also get the lesson plan for it. So how could you run something like that yourself? And if you're there for emeralds, guess what we'll focus on? Running for people who are in an emerald state. What will we focus on in ambers? Running it for people in an amber state. What about rubies? Ooh, the same. And so what we're looking for is, how can we help people when we aren't running a full out engagement course, but we are wanting to build some of our muscles. We want to rehearse some of these things. And we thought we'd try something different. So it's going to be 4 hours, and we're going to be doing it with mentors. So you will have some breakout rooms where the expectation is you try a little bit of something. You don't have to demonstrate it right then, but you'll get a little chance to try some things out. and you'll get some feedback on that. But mostly you're going to be sort of watching me, and we'll use some video and we'll use some live time stuff. Because what our goal is to help people get curious about how to do this stuff called engaging.
Nice. So that's in early June. And I have one question, Teepa, because we actually have an engagement leader on tonight. And I'm curious, if someone has actually gone through engagement leader certification, would this still be beneficial for them to attend?
Yeah, because this is about one-on-one engagement. In our engagement leader course, we spend some time talking about one-on-one, but we also put people together in small groups. And this is about really tuning in to another individual and really working on making sure we've got this down so that that human being is getting what's optimal for them. And then we can figure out, okay, now how do you put this in the bigger picture? But I think what COVID has taught us is that when people are isolated, we have to think of individuals, even though we want to run groups. That's just a reality, is that we've been so limited that this is a refresher in some ways, but it's a skill builder of nothing we've done before, truly.
So Teepa, I'm curious, these are labeled master classes. And so does folks looking to sign up for this, do they have to feel like that they need to be close to that master level to actually do this? Or can it just be anyone?
Yeah, how many people who watch Bobby Flay are going, I'm going to cook just like Bobby Flay after one lesson? Oh, good job, Matthew. Well, I'll come and see what your barbecue tastes like, because I understand he's quite good at barbecue. I've actually watched him, take down Bobby Flay. We aren't actually having it as a takedown session. I'm going to demonstrate some of the things that would be considered master level. So anybody's welcome to come and learn from it, because you don't have to have the skill. We want to expose you to the skill, and you'll go home and work in little pieces until you sort of feel better about it, and maybe you'll come back again.
Phew, because I was a little worried there, because I would love to be a part of that, but I'm like, man, I'm nowhere near master level. That just ain't going to be happening.
Well, people seem to think I am, and we are going to look at some challenging, potentially emerald situations, amber situations, ruby situations, and see if we can figure out how to take it from something that looks challenging and uncomfortable to something that feels like a just right fit.
Yeah. And I like that. That's just so awesome to give us that ability to be able to get those pieces, and then even giving us, in typical PAC style, the scripts or something to help us when we're starting off, something to get the ball rolling, so that hopefully as we get going and we get comfortable with this thing and we're taking those bite-sized pieces, that we really get skilled, and then we're doing so awesome with that. So I love it.
Yeah. So that's our response to COVID. No, we're not giving it up, but we do acknowledge that there are just some things that work better in person than virtually. So what we're going to do is what we know does work in virtual world, because I'll have somebody with me in real place and time. So nice. I won't be on my own.
Nice. And it's so cool because we actually have Marion Kyner on tonight to talk about her super engagement skills. And even she's saying, I think I'll check out that masterclass thing. So
yeah, we're hoping a lot of folks will check it out, because we think it's a great opportunity for us to connect and really learn from one another. But I'm really excited.
So cool.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you, Teepa, very much for coming and sharing with us. We know we'll have you on again. Every chance we have, every chance we can. Even if
you just wanted to pick your beads. I know you did, Matthew.
That's right. When you get a bag full of all pink beads, I'll go for that.
Oh, and you want them large, I'm going to bet, because you have those fingers, huh?
Yeah.
That was coming. Yeah, that was.
Yes.
Yeah, that was my assessment of the guy who steals chairs from small children.
Oh, Teepa, we love you. Thank you so much for joining.
You are so welcome. We are so glad that you are with us, and everybody here is with us. So thanks, everybody. I'm going to be watching in from the wings on YouTube while you guys keep your conversation going.
Yes. All right. Thanks for coming on, Teepa. And we'll be talking more about those master classes in the future as we get ready for June. Thank you. And Marion, so now we've kind of whet your appetite for a new service that you can learn more about in June. But come on and tell us a little bit about yourself. Welcome to SUP.
Welcome to SUP.
Well, hello. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be with you guys always. So what do I tell you about myself? So I'm a nurse. I'm an RN. Been a nurse for a long time. And I'm also a psychiatric clinical nurse specialist. And that's an advanced practice nurse. So I've done different things with my career, counseling. I actually worked in substance abuse and didn't get into the field of long-term care until 2007, which actually is a while ago now. It's about 14 years ago. So I started as a nurse manager on a long-term care unit, a skilled rehab unit, and was a manager for about 4 years. And in a CCRC in Central Virginia. The Woodland is I'm still there. I've been there for 14 years. And after about 4 years, I wasn't happy about the manager job. I wanted to work with residents one-on-one. I was a therapist, nurse counselor, and said, I can do this. I can do this. And so in 2011, developed a role as a psychiatric nurse, doing psychiatric services out of the family practice office and providing services to the residents on campus. So I was basically the mental health person for the whole campus for about 240 people, residents and their families. So I learned a lot that I needed to learn a lot, especially about dementia. And the first 2 years, I probably was digging into literature and different things. I actually did do a train the trainer with a different company and started doing some trainings on dementia. Was very interested in it and knew that this was something that people needed to know more about. I was trying to, get everybody's attention and really I struggled to get people's attention like, hey, this thing on dementia, we need to talk about this. So I did start doing some classes. It seemed like it took a while to get things off the ground. Did some orientation, new staff classes. And then in 2015, that's when I met Teepa. I was at a one-day conference at, it's called Circle C here in Richmond, Virginia. They had a one-day conference. I think they have her come back every so often too. And I just fell in love with PAC, what she was saying, what she was doing. It's like, I want to be just like you when I grow up. And so that was 2015 and did my
Marion,
first certification in 2000.
I'm curious real quick before we move on. So you were talking about, you did a whole lot of training beforehand.
Oh yeah.
And you did the trainer with a different program, and you were trying to get people involved. You were trying to get people engaged, and you were seeing some not so good upticks at times, or people just not getting as excited. But then you went and saw Teepa. So I'm curious, with all of that experience that you had going into a Teepa, a webinar or educational event, what were some of those differences that you noticed just from what you were used to with this whole train the trainer and the way things were done versus like a Teepa event?
Yeah. Well, first of all, it makes more sense. It makes sense. PAC makes sense to me. But it also was skills based. It was what you could do. It wasn't just that knowledge in a notebook, and I mean, knowledge is good to learn things, but then what do you do with it? It just had that carryover that was missing in other things that I was learning and teaching. I started learning how to do things, not just learn about things.
So adding more of those tools to your tool belt, you already had a lot of awareness and a lot of that knowledge base, but now this was like, ooh, skills. Like, it's great to know about this thing, but you got to know how to go out there and use it, and how to do it in a way that's going to like grab other people and pull them in and want them to be all excited about it. And so that first event happened. You got to see Teepa and you fell in love. Like you said, I want to be you when I grow up. I think we all have that moment with Teepa. It's, I want to be you when I grow up.
I actually said that to her, I think. And I said, I want to be just like you when I grow up, except I don't want to travel. And she said, good luck with that.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Well, for Teepa, even though I know this isn't necessarily what she would want, but one thing with this whole COVID thing is she has been able to be home more with her family and see her family more than what she used to. But yeah, oh my gosh. Yeah. So when you have that and you're wanting to share it with everybody, you kind of have to go where the people are. You have to go to all of these different places. And so you saw how much of an impact this could make. And so how did that lead you to your first certification?
My first certification was in 2016. I actually was interested in the consultant one, but wasn't able to do it and ended up doing the coaching certification. So I did that in late 2016 and started doing some trainings and getting administration attention. They had an all staff training that I had to do. It was like a 30-minute training for everybody. I did in 2 days, got everybody from maintenance to housekeeping and nursing, therapy, everybody that was working on campus had to come to this training. So that was in 2016, but I wanted more. It wasn't enough for me, the coaching, because I knew I needed more on the training level, more depth to it. So in 2017, just probably within 6 months, I took the trainer class. So I took that one and it was kind of slow going at first. I think that, Teepa says 5 minutes a day. And I remember hearing that and I honestly can't say that I did it at first. Probably the first 6 months, 9 months, I was working, and so I didn't always do it. So it took a while for me to really put it into practice myself, to put PPA out there. So I think looking back, that really had to come first, is me doing the PPA, me being comfortable with it so I could see why it was so important. And now it is your assessment tool. So, so that was 2017, 2018. And, I still wanted more. How do I make this happen? I felt like I was the only one speaking the language. I would talk to administration, talk to other staff. Some people were interested in what I was doing, but I called up and asked, is there a way I can get some consultation? I have questions on how to make this happen. And so I did what's called, mentoring back in 2018 with Deb Tyler. And we called it pack chat. I don't know what you all call it, but it was a pack chat for me. So it was a consultation. And so we would talk like once every 6 weeks, every 8 weeks or so, and talk about how to implement it, how to take these workshops and do it. And so I just felt like I had support. I needed that. I'm a process person. I need someone to talk to about it, about what I'm doing and how does it sound. So I put into play a series of trainings over a week long. I took workshops A, B, and C and broke them out into 30-minute sessions. And it was kind of on a career ladder, a advancement. You went from awareness, which is orientation, and that's like workshop A, broken out and so on. So all the staff, eventually my administrator did agree to have housekeeping, everybody that could get off the floor to come to the classes. And that took a while. So I did, during that time, I also did a series of huddles. I know Deb and I talked about huddles a lot and how to put those in. We did practicing and practice coaching and stuff. And I did a series of huddles over about 12 weeks on one nursing unit. So yeah, I feel like, over time it was a lot of stuff. Nursing orientation, general orientation, putting it all out there. So the pack chat was really helpful. One idea that I got from Deb was a jamboree, and I liked the name of it, Jamboree. It was like a carnival, and it kind of just fell into place at the right time. It was after a series of these trainings, and it was during the Alzheimer's Association walk. And so there was a lot of awareness. We do a fundraiser. And so I put together this jamboree. That woman down the bottom, Karen, she's the one that did the signs. That's why she's looking up at it. She was so cool. She was the receptionist. She made the signs for me. It was basically a carnival-like thing where people came and kind of solidified their learning, things that they learned about. There was a dementia duck pond where you'd pick up the duck and it would have a type of dementia, and you talk about the symptoms of that. There's a wheel of gems from a dartboard my husband and I made that. We also had, not on here, it was a picture of a brain. A fella from maintenance got involved with helping me to make that. He cut out a picture of a brain and painted it. And it was a dart game. So you throw the dart at the brain, and whatever part of the brain it landed on, then you get to talk about it. So I had people at the different stations, and we had food, and all the money that it was $1 for a hot dog, but all of that went to the fundraiser for the Alzheimer's Association. So it was a lot of fun. I got staff involved. That fellow that made the brain, he said, so next year when we do this, and I thought, well, gee, this is the first year. I don't know if we're doing it next year. But it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. And so talk about engagement here, right? You've got all of these skills that you not only learn from your certifications, but then talking with Deb. And by the way, for all those folks out there who've had the pleasure of having Deb Tyler as one of your mentors, give her a little shout out there in that comments section. Let her know that you're watching and say hi to her. And of course, we're shouting out to Deb. She's amazing. But that using those resources, and we talk about with PAC, it's not just you're certified and that's it. There's no other resources. There's nothing else. We don't want to see you until you're recertified. We totally want to do everything we can to support you. And so you were able to use that support and bring Deb in to help you with that piece. And so you came up with all of these amazing ideas and put them into place. And so how did you start to see things change after you started to implement all of this into the place that you were at?
I really had to come to terms with the fact that how do you make a staff dementia aware? How do you raise awareness? And I really had to come to terms with the fact it's one person at a time. It really is. But I started seeing some people that were interested, and they would come back for more of my classes. And one friend, she came to everything I ever did. So it was always cool Teepa talks about working with the low-hanging fruit. And so I really kind of was so excited with people that were interested. One time after this all staff training that I had done early on, the receptionist stopped me and said, Marion, I really got a lot out of your training. It made me see things from their point of view. And I said, well, tell me more about that. And she said, well, this fella in a wheelchair started going out the door, and he's not on my elopement list, but I went out to help him. And he turned to me and said, I'm a grown man. And she said to me, and I took a step back and thought, well, he wants to be independent. So she says, I let him get himself back in the door. I just gave his chair a little bit of a push over the threshold. I let him do it himself. And I felt so good to let him be independent. And that was just one of those aha moments. And she carried it over into a receptionist at the door, so that was pretty cool. And
that whole piece of not doing with, or helping somebody continue to use the skills they have and helping them to keep going with that versus, no, we need to do
Doing it.
this is what we're going to do. And so, yeah, that's awesome. Giving her that awareness to help her be able to step back.
Step back and put herself in his shoes. Yeah. And see it from his point of view. Yeah.
And how many times I think for trainers, coaches out there, when they're doing a training or they're doing a coaching, do they see those aha moments, or they have that moment where somebody comes and tells them, ooh, so I tried that thing you were talking about and it worked. She has not eaten in days and it totally helped her, and she got started and she took over. Or he normally doesn't engage, he doesn't do anything, and I did what you said, and look, he's engaging, he talked. I haven't heard him talk in forever. Yep. And having those stories.
Matthew, it happened just like that. It does. People have said to me, and my suggestion is to videotape them. I have one friend that's on a videotape, and I said, would you mind if I videotape you telling me that? Because she said, trying to put a boot, she was a therapist, and trying to put this boot on this resident, and how the CNAs do it and how she does it. And she says, now we have no fighting, no yelling. She says, I do it exactly like you told me, Marion, and so it was simple stuff too. It's really cool. So write them down. That story about the receptionist, I had emailed that to the director of nurses. I said, dementia, training works and things like that. So it's helpful to write them down, especially to look back. I had found that and looked back and said, yeah, these things are cool stuff.
Right. That is so cool. That kind of goes right along too with the whole coaching setup too. Things that are going well, it gives you more of those pieces to look back and see the things that are going well with everything that you're implementing and working on. And so you've done all of this at this facility, you've done trainings, you put on the jamboree, and then time goes on, and then now you find yourself in a new role. So tell us about this new role that you're in at your building.
Yeah, so things changed in about 2019. I was not doing in the psych role anymore towards the end of the 2019, and then into 2020. Back up in 2018, we started what's called a Meaningful Life program. It's kind of like a memory care on a long-term care unit. So, and working with pretty much ambers and rubies and pearls, the ones that don't get to engage in other activities. So I did some consulting with them early on and some coaching, and then in 2020 became the manager, director, chief bottle washer of that program, and primarily just on that unit. And then when COVID hit, everything changes, and you no longer can go from one building to the other, no sharing of staff. And so just focused on this one unit with this small but very important Meaningful Life group, and a small group of staff, and coaching them and training them. And it's been a very rewarding time to see them get it as well. And there's always room to grow, and I'm one that's always looking for that. But yeah, like you say, it's good to focus on the two positive things. So that's what I'm doing now, working with those in the more advanced stages. I had in early 2020 taken on this new role. I went to the engagement leader certification as well, and got a lot of ideas from that, things to put into play with this program. So
yeah, so tell us more about that. So you came up with these engagement kits essentially that you were using with a lot of your folks, and so we got some pictures here of some of the resources that you have in there. So tell us more about that side after that engagement certification, where you went from there.
Yeah, so one of the things I learned in the training was that the kinds of things that you can do with people don't have to cost a lot of money. Engagement is just, it starts with the relationship first. But it's everyday things that can be very meaningful to them. And so you see here is this colorful silverware, plastic silverware. And so we had gotten a whole bunch of different colors, and we put them in a basin and have people wash them we have a time of day that's called Life Skills. And so we wash the silverware, or we'll have them sort them, or put them in colors, or put all the spoons together in this one bucket, and all the forks together, and all the knives together. So, I mean, it's just simple things that don't have to cost a lot of money. So one of the things I did with this idea of these kinds of activities was at Christmas time this year, I'm a volunteer with the Alzheimer's Association as well, and I like to engage with the Area Agency on Aging. And they were giving out Christmas packages with Christmas gifts. And, you know, a lot of times those are lotion and tissues and blankets and, you know, gifts. And those are nice. And people like to get those kinds of things and may need all of those things. But I was more thinking of what are the people in the community, because I was also a caregiver support group leader. And here we are in COVID, and there's not that much connection anymore. So I was wondering, what can I do to help those families and caregivers in the community to do with their loved ones? So put this kit together, and I had it in a bag, but I took it all out of the bag. But all of those things that you saw, there's about a dozen of them, and I put them all in a bag. I applied for a grant through my church and got about $250 and was able to put together 50 kits to give out to people in the community. And so those were delivered by the Area Agency on Aging, and there was still some left over. I actually ended up using about 10 of them on my nursing unit when we were in quarantine. So when people are in their room, then we had these kits for them that they could have just for themselves. So I think some people are familiar with activity kits. That's basically what this is. But these are more for your advanced stages. Our residents got bags with crossword puzzles, word searches, little books, and colored pencils and coloring pages. And actually, some of those things are not things that your Ruby persons in those state, Amber sometimes will do some of those things with some assistance, but not usually doing crossword searches and things like that. So these kinds of kits were more useful to people that were more advanced. So can I show you some more of those things?
Yeah. So you were, and you're talking about that big thing too of recognizing who it is that you're trying to help in the moment, and then coming up with the parts that work best for them with what they have left. And I think that's the biggest thing we always continuously try to express to everybody and build that awareness and skill about recognizing those, keeping yourself aware enough to recognize those, seeing that you can't just be handing out crossword puzzles to everybody. You can't just be handing out word searches to everybody. You've got to step back and you got to see what they can do, where they're at, what they might be able to do with some assistance, and create those kits accordingly. And so, yeah, so show us a little more here of what you have within that kit.
Well, the kit also had a little bit of instruction. I think you have the instructions there that went out in the community so that people could have an idea of what to do with these items. So there was a little bit of a list of suggestions for using them. And like you say, some people may be more advanced, more higher functioning. And so I had written in there that they could do some of these activities with a child, with a grandchild or something. So there was a craft. And I put together some colored popsicle sticks, some gems, some little stones to glue on there, a picture of the craft. I'm not getting it coming out right. So there was a picture of the craft at Christmas time that they could do with somebody and a star. So they could make that. If you were a family member or a caregiver, you could do it with the person, or they could do it with a child. So it depended on what stage and what abilities they have. You'd have to tailor it to them. But so the colored pencil, the colored silverware. This is my favorite. It's a balloon. That's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun throwing around a balloon. If you happen to have a pool noodle handy, it's even more fun because you can really whack a balloon with a pool noodle. So I'll tell you, this will put a smile on somebody's face. So a balloon, a deck of cards. Now, if you can't play cards anymore, so what I did is I cut them in half. And now you have matching. So you have 2 aces and 2 twos, and you can do a matching game with just a simple deck of cards. And again, that was pretty cheap. To do a bunch of those. A dice, people can oftentimes still add, 1 plus 4, you can still do those kinds of things. So throwing a dice, Matthew, I've got a 4. What's next? 4 plus 1 is what?
5.
Hey, okay. You want to keep going? 5 plus 5 is
10.
Hey, we could keep going.
Yeah,
So
and like you're saying, they're cheap, inexpensive things, and that part too you said before about applying for your church grant. So many people, I think, out there don't realize if you reach out into your community, especially when you're trying to start these programs or get something more going in a place that you're wanting to help out, that reaching out to the community and finding those resources can help you get that going, especially that financial aspect. And right now, when you're looking at how things are with COVID and what it's done to different buildings and the financial side of it, it can be tough to find the money in places to do stuff like that. So reaching out to that community and asking for that support, you'll be amazed at how much people are wanting to do something. They just don't know they don't know where to start, and being that bridge like you were, Marion, in your community, and saying, hey, I want to apply for this grant, let's get this going, let's do some wonderful things with this, is so amazing. And so I'm curious, what advice would you have for the certified community out there, especially in these situations when it comes to trying to get that ball rolling, trying to get things happening, and do a lot of what you were able to tell us about tonight in your place?
Well, like Teepa says, work with the low-hanging fruit, the people that are interested. Start with where the need is. What are they saying the need is? Is it certain behaviors? I don't like that word, but is that where they're saying they're having trouble? Is it learning new skills? Find out what the need is, and remember it one person at a time, and give yourself a pat on the back for the things that you do as you go along. Take videos is a good one.
Marion, I think that's such a valuable piece of advice, what you just said about it's one person at a time. I know our next guest, Shelly Drews. So come on up, Shelly. Welcome to SUP. She is in a new position with engagement. And I know in our previous conversations, that idea that it's a process, it's going to take time, it's going to be one person at a time, is something that I imagine that was refreshing for you to hear that, Shelly, huh?
Oh boy, yes. Actually, couldn't have been more perfect timing. So it's been a real challenge and transition in what I'm working with now, which I didn't expect.
You've worked in senior care for a long time, right? I actually had the pleasure to meet you last year when I was with Teepa in Phoenix and Lake Havasu and a couple of other Arizona locations where you had put together a really successful workshop with
Yes.
Teepa as the main star. So you've been working in senior care for quite some time. Tell us about your a little bit about your history.
Well, so I've been doing this for over 25 years, actually. And so I owned care homes when I started. I got my MBA in healthcare management and I was ready to go. And I kept hitting these walls where I couldn't figure out for the life of me where to go in order to get support with dementia. Dementia has always been my passion. And of course, back then they were senile. And so I eventually realized the whole online thing, that I could get online and search this new thing called Google, and figured out that there was somebody by the name of Teepa Snow. And I found her, but it took me a few years before I started using her as a resource. And boy, did I miss out. As I've gone through that, I was a caregiver med tech, became executive director very shortly thereafter when I sold my homes. And the blessing that I've had is that I've been able to go through and experience all of these different aspects to our industry. I'm in Arizona. Arizona is unique, kind of like Florida, just because we have so many different seniors that we're working with. And so for here, dementia is the fourth leading cause of death. Really, we think third, but we're in such a desperate time of need right now. And so when I found Teepa, I eventually ended up getting my training license certification. I got my coaching certification, and I created these events for Arizona because I found that people don't know what they don't know. They don't have this foundational understanding of the tools that are given through a positive approach to care. And we were so desperately in need. And I said, well, I know that I am not at a place at that time to be able to provide it. So let's bring the best of the best. And then you guys came and it was phenomenal. We did a series, and we had a great turnout for people in our industry to be able to go through. And they're like mind blown that there's a different way of doing things, and somebody to help give these hand-on approaches was fantastic.
It was
So
so cool to see that experience because Shelly, I think I shared with you last year, I had lived in Arizona and worked in the senior care dementia industry for 10 years prior to relocating across the country. But it was cool to go back to my home, where my roots in dementia started, and see up and coming people like yourself who are really making a difference that I didn't know about you 10 years ago, but now you are really making a difference in Phoenix dementia care. So kudos to you for that. And
thank you.
more recently, you've thought, what else can I do? And you had a little tap on the shoulder, a little calling to try something new. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I had an incredible opportunity that fell into my lap, where I ended up accepting a role for becoming the director for memory support. And so what's interesting is that, as an executive director, we're running everything, we're going crazy, trying to just keep everything together. And I always had activity directors. I always had people who were doing the work and putting it together. And here we're not brand new, but we're a couple years old and really trying to re-roll everything out after COVID, which, a lot of things shut down. And so I accepted this position. But what I found is that activities are so critical and easily missed. And even though I brought you guys out to do an engagement certification to Arizona, I was there, but when you're in charge and putting those things together, your headspace is in a little different place. And I never thought that I would be putting together activities. And I have found myself in this position where I am, and I have to. And I'm so appreciative of Marion sharing that you do one person at a time and making that difference. And we have, a lot of emeralds that, sometimes I have found it's a little bit more difficult in identifying the the personal things that will make them happy and bring them the joy, but their joy, that's everything in those moments of time and what we're doing with them. And so I'm really excited for this new and upcoming thing in June that Teepa was sharing about. And I will definitely be there, and bells and whistles, I'll tell you, I really am looking forward to that, because we can never learn enough. You know, even though I've been serving in the industry for so long, the reality is that there's always an area to grow in, and I welcome all of that.
Absolutely, Shelly, and I appreciate your humility so much that you're like, I can always learn. Though I've been in this industry for so many years, I can still learn more. And one of the things that you did recently was actually reach out to the certified community. And I was just, my heart was so warmed by the response that you got. Can you tell us about the post that you put to the certified community and what feedback you got?
Yes, and this is so critical, and why it's so important of becoming a part of the organization, because in a moment of, quite frankly, desperation, when I thought, I just have to get stuff out, I've got to get things on the tables, and things that the caregivers just as much as the residents can grab onto. And I'm like, what am I going to do? Because I didn't have time to stop. And so I put a question out there, and I said, help, please, anybody who's been doing this, send me some information. Where do I go? What do you recommend? And not only did I have incredible responses on there, but people reached out to me personally, private messaged me, and one incredible individual even had a conversation with me on the phone. We did a call, and she's been, working with me to identify what she's done in her community and what might fit with ours. So just a tremendous amount of support. And that's really what it's all about, and becoming really, truly a part of PAC and using those resources, because if we don't use them, then they're not really there.
I love hearing that, Shelly, because we really do want PAC, the certified community, to be just that, a community. And I appreciate that you reached out. And not only did you reach out and ask for help, but man, you got quite the response. That's so awesome.
Yes.
Anything, so where do you feel like you are? Where do you feel like you are with this new role? And you said you've always got something to learn, but it was also really an eye-opening situation for you. You said, I've always been in different positions and someone else took care of it. And then now here I was, it was on me. So where are you feeling like you are with your role right now?
Well, I'm so grateful that I had the opportunity to be able to go and learn that I had an area that I needed to build on and to improve on. And so, the next piece of it, it's always training as well. So we've got the activities, we're working on that. And now it's incorporating all of the training that we've learned and really being able to start rolling that out without overwhelming the staff. Like Marion, for us, shockingly, not a lot of people have been trained in understanding and learning about how to provide the best care. And so we're working on that. And I'm excited to be able to start rolling that out with one person at a time. Thank you. Because the reality is you want to come in and fix everything all at one time. And you're like, wait, but everything is an emergency. And it feels that way, but it can't be.
It does. It feels like that because we want culture change so badly. We want it to happen overnight. And yet what so many of our community know is that it's just not an overnight process. So I'm going to ask our viewers to please, if you have any words of wisdom for Shelly and her openness to this new challenge, this new chapter. If you have any wisdom for Shelly, please put that in the comments below. I know she would love that encouragement. And also any shout outs for Marion and the great work that she's doing. We are super happy to have you on and support the great work that you are doing. The SUP is all about showing the shine in our certified community. And Marion and Shelly, you are doing just that. I want to give you just one last word, Shelly. Anything else you'd like to share with our viewers?
Oh, just to, keep on keeping on and recognizing that my friend had said to me, the love that we share from our heart, just that, and loving the people that we're providing care for is everything. And so I just really stand on that.
I love that. And so for folks who want to find out more about those engagement master classes and other events, please go to the teepasnow.com website. Anything else you'd like to add, Matthew?
Yeah, and these wonderful ladies, if you have any questions for them, make sure you go on that Teepa Snow site too. You can look up their profiles and the folks who are certified in the community and find the email addresses for them. Reach out to them if you have a question or if you want to talk more. They would love to explore that with you guys.
Absolutely. So we have a month full of superstars on SUP. So keep coming back each Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern, and we'll see you then. Thank you,
Thanks.
Marion. Thank you, Shelly.
Thanks,
Thank
Shelly.
you as